Hello, everyone. I am back. My last update was so long ago, and I really want to get more consistent on this channel because my belief is that this is my purpose. Sharing with you about my life on this channel, it is my hope that it will help other people, that it will help someone else to look at their life a little differently, maybe find ways to get closer to the life that they want by maybe not making the same mistakes I have, or maybe recognizing something in my life that's also happening in theirs that they might want to think more deeply about. Anyways, what I'm going to talk about today is the current bane of my existence. You see, I've mentioned before on this channel that I have a brain tumor, and while it has had a huge impact on my life in many areas. At the current moment, it's not like like something I need to deal with right now. I was sort of getting to the point where I was like, okay, do I ask people for help, get some money so I can cut this thing out of my brain? Oh, Miss Endocrinologist number two says, hey, by the way, the getting rid of it could end up being worse for you than having it, because you could end up with so many symptoms. You could end up with these other illnesses. So that stopped it dead in the tracks. But she gave me some hope, and she said, you know what, why don't we try upping your amount of cabergoline? Let's see if that will shrink the tumor, or reduce symptoms or whatever. So I just remember walking home feeling so happy, so good. I'd actually recorded a whole video about this that I never uploaded for some reason. Again, going back to the note on consistency, which is something I really want to do going forward. But I just walked home for like 40 minutes. I was just over the moon, like, okay, there might be a way for me to not have to have surgery. I can shrink the tumor, and I can, get on with my life. I'm not down with knives. I didn't want anything going up my nose and into my brain anyways. So just increasing this really cheap medication, I'm fine with that. This is like $8 for a bottle or something like that. It's really, if even, it's really cheap, at least in this country, for cabergoline. So that was cool. The plan was, because I was only taking half a pill once a week at that point, the plan was to immediately up my dose to one full pill a week, and then 1.5 pills for a week, and then 2 pills per week, 2 full pills per week, and to do the 2 pills for a few months to see how I get on. Now, of course, cabergoline comes with its own potential issues, but I hadn't had any real issues that I was aware of up until this point, or up until that point. So I figured, let's go for it. I don't want surgery anyways. I can afford this. It's cheap. Plan done. Let's get it. So the night before I saw this endocrinologist, I had already taken my usual half pill of cabergoline. I immediately took another half pill that same evening to make it the equivalent of 1 pill. Then the next week, and I was fine as far as I recall. And then the next week, I decided it was time for me to take 1 full pill one day, and then a half pill another day, a few days apart. So I went to the mall. I believe it was, yes. I took that 1 pill one evening, and then the next day I went to the mall. Boop, 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 boop. Mall's maybe a 20-minute walk. Walked around the mall, noticed that my feet were kind of hurting me, and I was like, yeah, okay, I've been walking for a little while. It's not something that my feet had done before. My feet don't usually hurt like that so quickly. Keep in mind, I am out of shape. I am overweight as well, especially then, even more so. I've lost weight since, because this was over a month ago. And I get home and I was like, oh, my feet are hurting so much. I can't, they're just not getting comfortable. I stopped walking. I'm home. I sat down. My feet are still killing me. My feet are burning. So let me figure this out. Why don't I soak it? I'll soak my feet in some warm water. That's gonna feel good. I soak my feet. I'm shifting around, sitting on the edge of the tub, shifting around. My feet are hurting as I'm soaking them. They're supposed to start feeling better. I come out of the warm water. My feet are still hurting. Like it didn't improve it at all, which is unusual because any time that I've usually walked around for hours in the past, if I walked around for hours, I would need to soak my feet, not for a couple of hours, but I mean like hours. Like the time a decade ago when I was on a Segway tour through somewhere in the United States. I was on a Segway tour and we were on the Segways for like 3 hours and my feet were killing me. When I put my feet in some warm water, they felt better. This time, less time on my feet, but oh my gosh, my feet were so not better. So I didn't know what was going on. But I just had this feeling that I just taken this big old pill, one full pill for the first time ever, all in one shot of cabergoline the evening before. And now today, I go on a walk. I go to the same mall I usually go to, walk around for, around the same amount of time, walk back home for another 20 minutes, maybe a couple hours of walking, maybe two, maybe three, maybe not even. And my feet are killing me like they haven't in such a long time. So I kind of connected to and think, you know what? I think the cabergoline did something, but at the time I didn't know what. So to make this ever lengthening story a little bit shorter, it turns out what I had started feeling was something called peripheral neuropathy. So, new symptom unlocked, peripheral neuropathy. And my, oh my, does it suck. It's horrible. So what I didn't realize and what I've come to realize over the past month of just a whole lot of going on YouTube to search for solutions and finding Facebook groups to connect with and to try to do more research and get answers, and going on Google and looking for information. What I've learned over time is that the numbness that I felt in my feet months ago, I think it was maybe January or February of this year, is earlier in 2023, if not late 2022, not sure now. The numbness that I felt for 1 or 2 days when I was walking was probably the beginning of peripheral neuropathy, because it can start as numbness and tingling, and eventually it might escalate to pain. And the thing about peripheral neuropathy is that something like your brain is no longer communicating properly with your nerves. And it's usually the nerves, for me, the tips of my fingers. And at the very first, it was at the very beginning, it was just the tips of my toes. Now it's sort of traveling through my toes a little bit, not quite into the feet, still mostly just in the toes. And the horrible thing is that you've got nerves all over your body. Some people have peripheral neuropathy in their mouth, so they're going to have pain in their mouth. Oh, and let's talk about pain because I haven't really told you what this pain is like yet. So it could be like a searing pain for me sometimes. I'm finding out depending on what I've eaten, but we'll talk about more about that in a sec. I might just have this searing pain, or something that I think I might have mentioned in a previous video, heating up my hands and my feet, heating up and being so hot. That was the early sign of peripheral neuropathy. But I believe, let's go back. Where did this come from? During the pandemic, my life was already pretty low pre-pandemic, and then during the pandemic, lower still. Not because I missed people, because I have never really been much of a people person. Usually extremely awkward, lots of social anxiety, and I was already very used to staying home. But there was just something about I guess being suppressed, not having quite as much freedom, and then also my living situation. I was in an abusive environment. I was being abused. Probably more about that in the future. So all of that, plus my already depressed mindset and so on, led to me being uber, super, uber depressed. So I found myself just eating, 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 eating. And when I say eating, I don't mean good foods. I mean just the worst possible, overly processed, sugar-filled junk, sugar-filled, salt-filled junk that you can find, that I could find, and that I could stand. So I would inhale this stuff, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but it was like breakfast, lunch, dinner. It was snack. It was my water. All like I wasn't really drinking water. I was just eating this stuff, this crap instead. So that was my, I'd say 2021. And it wasn't long before I found that my feet and my ankles and up my legs up towards my knees were just extremely bloated, just inflamed. And I mean, it was bad to the point where if I were trying to go somewhere, it was a little hard to get my feet into my shoes, into the shoes that I'd owned for, for a while. They were the right size, but my feet were no longer the same size because they had blown up like balloons. So I believe that that's what did the damage. I believe that that's why I have peripheral neuropathy. There's a very good chance that I, was more likely to get it. I forget the proper word, doesn't matter. But, just through genes, I might have inherited a propensity towards having peripheral neuropathy. And I just didn't treat my body right, didn't keep myself hydrated, ate a lot of junk, messed with my glucose levels, blood sugar levels, what have you. So I think that that's where this problem is coming from. And that was 2021, and into, I believe, into 2022 my feet were still inflamed, and it wasn't maybe until mid 2022 or a little bit later that I got my feet consistently down to no longer being inflamed, and especially all through 2023 so far, almost no inflammation, maybe a little bit here and there because I was still eating crap, but not as often because being in a different country, I didn't have my usual Canadian treats. Miss them. Oh my goodness. Not that they were vegan, not that they were plant-based, which is how I've been trying to eat for the past year. I still crave them a little bit. So, anyways, I believe that that's where the peripheral neuropathy came from. And I mentioned, going back to pain, I'd mentioned that it starts with numbness, tingling. I've felt it as a searing pain, sort of this background pain that won't go away. And it can stay there for so long, and by long I mean like hours, not necessarily a whole day, but hours. I believe as my body's working through the blood sugar levels of whatever I've eaten. And it almost becomes like a norm, but it's a painful norm. So I'm just there, not shifting as much because the searing is there. So I'm uncomfortable, but not to the point where I'm like, oh, well, I can't take this anymore. So there's a searing pain, there's a burning pain that comes with an actual hot feeling. Right now, my fingers can go between being really cold and sometimes being pretty hot. They don't get as hot as they used to, so I'm kind of hoping that that means the problem is starting to rectify itself, but I don't really know. But even right now, they feel warm, and I can feel that they are, and I can see, you won't be able to see this, you don't know my fingers, but they're a little inflamed. And my fingers tend to always be inflamed now, I find. So we've got to figure that out. Pain wise, there's also a shooting pain. It feels like electric shocks. This one particular day, I think it was last week, I had three shooting pains in my big toes on both feet are the main sources of pain for me. And so in my left big toe, it just went choo, 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 and I was like, no, it just feels horrible. And thankfully after that, it stopped. But every once in a while, I'll get a shooting pain. I had one while in a meeting, and I just was like, ouch, oh, okay, so let's keep going. Yep, let's keep going. She's like, ow. So it'll catch me off guard sometimes. And it's nice when I forget that it can happen, but it's not nice when it pops up again. So there's this shooting pain, burning pain, searing pain, numbness, tingling. And the thing that's really, really bad about peripheral neuropathy is that, at least for me, it's worse at night. And it's really only worse or mainly worse because at night is when I want to lie down. I want to lie down. I want to sleep. I've got a nice bed here, nice pillows, nice little warm, there's a sheet and there's this nice warm blanket. I just want to roll up in the blanket and sleep. And it won't let me sleep because there's something about, from what I've seen online, there's something about the pressure within your body not being balanced throughout your whole body. Somehow lying down puts more pressure on your toes, and it's like, why? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm lying flat. The pressure should be even. So for whatever reason, often when I stand up and maybe walk around a little bit, and also sometimes when I just sit up, like sit up on a chair or on a couch, I feel better. But once I try to lie down, which is what I prefer to do when I'm tired, because this is what I've done my whole life, I've always slept lying down, with the exception of, airplanes or train rides or, fall asleep at work. Oops. So it just feels horrible because it won't let you sleep. And last night was particularly bad for me. I was up with, I guess I could call it a searing pain that was fairly strong, and I just couldn't get comfortable. And so I was up, I think, at least 6 different times. Got up out of bed because I was like, no matter how I move around on the bed, you could try putting a pillow between your legs and turning on your side. Try putting a pillow under your legs. I like to make sure that nothing touches my toes because especially my big toes are super sensitive. I can't have anything, any friction, anything like that. Nothing worked. Went to the couch, tried lying down. Eventually I got an hour or 2 of sleep by sitting up, but I don't like that position because at first it's not that comfortable until I finally fall asleep. So I was back and forth between the bed and the couch, just trying this, trying that. Seriously pondering, can someone just cut off my feet? Like, I just don't have feet anymore. Done, fixed. But of course, that's not an option because we need to be able to walk in these streets, get away from some creepies. So, so yeah, it's been a rough ride. When I was first experiencing the pain of peripheral neuropathy and still figuring things out, and it's really, I still am, but I know so much more. I'm so much more knowledgeable than I was a month ago. But at first, there was like a week when I couldn't work. There were a couple days, and I think it turned into a week. And then again, there were a couple days, and it turned into more than a week. And eventually, I came to realize, especially after hearing a couple of YouTube videos where people said, "Oh, people have fixed this by going on the keto diet," which is something I don't want to do, being a preferably plant-based eater and someone who hasn't had fish or chicken or any of that for like a year. So it occurred to me that the food that I'm eating, especially if I go in on some Oreos or some Lay's chips, foods that make me feel okay for just 2 seconds. Not after that, but just 2 seconds that I'm eating it. Oh, it feels like I'm back home in Canada. So I realized that they're probably elevating my blood sugar, and that's not good, and that's could add to the pain that I'm feeling, could be the reason why I feel that searing pain and sometimes the electric shocks because my body is processing the glucose, blood sugar is elevated, and so on. 2 or more years ago, I had been looking into the glycemic index because you could look at blood sugar, or how much food would affect your blood sugar, I think, or blood glucose levels or something. But then there was also a way to look at food as, okay, what is the glycemic index? Let's eat things that are low on the glycemic index. Well, let me tell you, I gave that a try last night. I ate some sweet potato, which is something that I don't usually eat because I don't really like it. And I figured, okay, let me take some sweet potato. Let me put some olive oil. So I mashed up the sweet potato after I boiled it. I added some olive oil, so I didn't fry it, just added some olive oil in, give some nice flavor, some salt, some pepper, some garlic powder, mixy. Had a big old kale salad, kale, cabbage, and just this pre-made salad, kale, chopped up cabbage and some beets and some diced carrots. Ate that, had some hot sauce on top of that, ate that. Oh, nutritional yeast as well, because I want my B vitamins. B vitamins are also supposed to help repair nerves when you have neuropathy. Ate that, tasted pretty good, was proud of myself, ate it, I was fine. And then all of a sudden, before bed, within a couple of hours probably of having finished the meal, searing pain, searing uncomfortable pain. I soaked my feet in some more water. I feel a little bit better, but still the searing is continuing. And that's why I was up 6 times last night. It was, I think, possibly, if it wasn't the worst night, it was one of the worst nights that I've had since this whole problem started. So it's been a rough ride. And let me just check my notes here. Yeah, I think I've talked about everything. The impact has been lost time at work and being an hourly freelancer. I need to be able to work. So I'm glad that I'm back to work. I'm glad that I'm managing this as best as I can. And I've just, in the last couple of hours, I've just decided to try a water fast because if I don't eat, then maybe my feet won't feel the searing pain. And I guess something that I haven't mentioned is that stretching, even though it can bring a little pain at the time as you're stretching and you're massaging your toes, and your toes are the things that hurt. And sometimes I feel the little electric shocks or a little bit of searing or burning pain because I'm moving the parts of my body that would rather no longer exist, it feels like. But stretching and exercise is really important, especially when you have an issue like neuropathy. And especially because I found that I had started to lose my balance because I was almost not walking at all, like barely walking around the apartment as little as I could and not going outside, even more than usual. I mean, I'm not an outdoor person anyways. And I'd find that I stand up and then, woo, like have to like catch myself on the wall so that I didn't fall over. And so I'm realizing that stretching and moving as much as I can stand is very important. While I might not walk on the spot unless my feet are feeling really, really amazing, which I did have a pretty good day a few days ago. So I did a little walk in the spot, dancing, felt nice. But I need to find some way. You need to find some way to move around. You need to find something that you can do to get your heart rate going, to get your body moving. One thing that I've done a couple times is I've sort of danced in my chair. But anyways, I think I'll talk about that more in another video. But yeah, you can start losing your balance. Your muscles can atrophy because you're not using them. And so it's just really important to do whatever you can to take care of yourself. I'm hoping that the water fast will help in regards to me losing any extra weight that could be making this issue worse for me. And more, I don't even care if I keep all the weight or even add on a couple pounds of what I want, which won't be possible with water fasting, I believe. But what I want is to not hurt anymore. So this might become an extended fast. I don't know if I could even take it for more than a day, but I'm going to try. I want a good night's sleep because sleep is so important to the healing process. But when you have neuropathy, sleep can become very difficult, if not almost impossible. So I want sleep. I want to be able to walk around pain-free because, I mean, even walking up and down, I got to go downstairs to get my pick up my grocery delivery, come back up, feet are hurting now because I went somewhere. It's like, they're like, why are you walking? Don't you know you're not supposed to use this anymore? Hello, feet. You're here to let me walk. I must walk on you. So I'm hoping that the water fast can hopefully give my nerves a chance to heal. Water fasting supposedly might help with the nerve regeneration process. I don't know that there's a lot of evidence, but I'm hoping that that is the case. And I just want my life back. I want my life back. And it's so funny because when I knew, like, living all these years with a growing brain tumor was pretty crappy. Finding out that I had the brain tumor and realizing all the different things it'd done to me, in my life, all the impacts that it had had was pretty crappy. But oh my gosh, this is worse. This constant pain. I mean, I'm smiling, but oh my gosh. Like in the background right now, the foot that's touching the ground, my right foot, my left foot's up in the air for some reason. Maybe it started hurting. Oh, I've just got an electric shock in my right foot. My right foot is on the ground. It's in a slipper, slightly not really cushioned slipper on the ground, and I can feel the searing pain. Like if something touches my foot is just not happy. Ah, okay, shooting pain in the left big toe. It was up in the air, nothing was touching it, just decided. So anyways, I want my life back. I want my friggin' feet back, and hopefully this will help. So, thanks for listening. More updates soon. Until next time. Bye bye.